Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Woodstock, Georgia, it's time for Cherokee Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
Good morning. Welcome to another exciting episode of Cherokee Business Radio. I'm your host, professional EOS implementer, Joshua Kornitsky. And the guests I have with me in the studio today are really interesting. I've got Colin Devaney, Matt Koop, and Gretchen Kornutik that'll be here to go through and share with us some interesting and exciting things about their business. So good morning, everybody. Colin, let's start with you. So Colin Devaney, owner of It'll Buff Detailing. Tell me, Colin, what do you do?
Hey, Josh. My name is Colin. I own It'll Buff Detailing here in Woodstock, Georgia. So we have a shop here. We do detailing, full in and out detailing. We do paint correction. We do ceramic coating. We do a lot of restoration work, and we offer detailing products and stuff for sale.
Okay. So how did you get into this? Because obviously anybody can just wash a car, right? What makes it different when you're touching it?
Absolutely. So I've always had a passion for cars and keeping them looking their best. So I started out in high school. I just really enjoyed, washing cars, keeping them clean, everything like that. So I started, taking care of my neighbors' cars, taking care of my friends' cars. I started getting equipment and products so I could do a better job for them. And then when I graduated high school, it's just what I really wanted to do, and I started pursuing it. So I got a van and went out and started doing it mobile, and it's just kind of grown from there.
So It'll Buff is a mobile service?
So when I started out, I had started with a van, and I was going out to people's driveways with a water tank and generator and things like that. But no, now we have a shop here in Woodstock, but would eventually like to bring back the mobile maintenance cleanings and things like that as well.
And where's the shop located?
Right behind the Stars and Stripes bowling alley on Highway 92.
Okay. So fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about what you do. So you had shared with me, and I think it's important to note for everybody, the reason Colin mentioned when he was in high school is he's a very young entrepreneur, but he's already been at this for 4 years.
Yes, sir.
And that's something that I want to share because it's important you guys understand that before you call somebody, you want to make sure they know what they're doing. And in Colin's case, he's a bit of an expert at this point because of what he's been doing about it. So we were talking earlier about paint correction and about ceramic coating. Let's take each one of those. Can you tell me what is paint correction?
Absolutely. So paint correction would be taking your old, ugly, faded, swirled, scratched, whatever's wrong with your paint. We can buff, polish, and restore that paint to, looking like brand new for you. And then we offer ceramic coatings, paint protection films, things like that, which will help protect your finishes on your vehicle and keep them looking new for a long time. So you don't have to go through with these restoration services.
Okay. So what is ceramic coating?
So ceramic coating is going to be a more durable. Yep. So we offer exactly. So it actually did come from appliances, aircrafts, things like that. But ceramic coating is going to be a more durable. Think of it like a sealant or a wax that's going to really protect your paint, like on steroids. So the coatings we offer last 5 to 7 years. They offer very minimal maintenance and things like that. So it'll provide your car with a very high shine, ease of cleaning, a lot of protection from the elements, UV rays, things of that nature, while just keeping it very simple and easy.
All right. So let me ask you a question. If I've got a newer car,
Yes,
let's
sir.
say, sake argument, let's say I just went and bought my new car.
Yes, sir.
Do I wait till the paint looks old and crappy before I bring it to you?
So-
What's the best time to show up?
So the best time to do it is when it's brand new. Of course, that's going to be easiest for, doing the work. So it'll save you money when it's brand new to get it done then. But it's not that we can't restore an older vehicle as well and then still protect that also if you have one that needs a little bit more love.
So you can work the magic both old and new.
Yep.
But is it easier if we bring it to you sooner?
It's much easier and it saves you some money as well.
All right. Good to know. Good to know. And you said that new vehicles or an older vehicle. So now let's talk a little bit about your business itself. Every entrepreneurial journey is different, right? So tell me, what are some of the challenges you're having growing your business?
So I guess right now, I was just talking to Matt here about it's just hard, growing from a small business to trying to start to move towards a bigger operation and bring on employees and offering more services and things like that can be hard when you're doing it all yourself. So right now, that's the journey I'm making, is trying to expand to having, my part-time guys become more full-time guys and then expanding from there. I've just moved into product sales, so we'll be offering detailing products and supplies up in the front of the shop. So trying to get a person in there to take care of that and marketing and everything like that is definitely hard when it's all on your shoulders. But
it's all about having the people that share your core values and understand what matters to you, matters to them.
So growing a good team has definitely been one of the biggest struggles so far that I've had.
So as it happens, you're in the room with a bunch of folks that can help. One thing you might want to look for, if you have not already, is seek out either a mentor or a coach that can work with you. But we'll talk more about that later. That's just a suggestion for you, because the good news is most of the challenges that you're encountering, others have encountered before.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go back to talking about It'll Buff. So one of the questions that occurs to me, and I had mentioned to you earlier that I sort of grew up in the automotive business, is as you're trying to grow, where do you really want to take the company? What do you think as you begin to find the right people and you've got the right products, what's next?
So I guess the whole goal for my company is to make it very easy for my customers to take care of their vehicle and love their vehicles. So my idea is to provide my customers with, the base point. We provide them a beautiful vehicle. It's very easy for them to maintain, and then provide the education and the products for them to keep their vehicle looking their best and, keep loving it for years to come.
Well, so let's talk about that, the importance of proper vehicle care. So let's say I came to you and you performed detailing service at whatever level I was prepared to engage you at.
Sure.
What do I do after that? Just drop it by once a week and throw you the keys, or are there things I can do?
So we can do that. We can, of course, take care of your vehicle for you too, if you don't have the time to do that yourself. Or if you don't want to take care of it yourself, of course, we can do it too. But it's also, we can set you up so that it's very easy for you with, minimal products to take care of your vehicle and keep it looking its best. Really, the biggest thing is just maintenance. You wouldn't think it's too much, but just keeping your vehicle clean, regularly, keeping up with protecting things in your vehicle, like your plastic trims and things like that.
So, are we talking about 3 hours a week? Or are we talking about 10 minutes?
If you do it every week, it's super easy. It could be an hour to take care of your vehicle. If you want to do it every 6 months or so, it might turn into a whole day, 2-day job.
Well, if I guess I've made the investment in a new car, it does seem sort of silly to ignore it.
Absolutely.
Although in your experience, how often does that happen?
Most of the time, unfortunately.
Really?
You'd be very surprised. Yeah. We try to get people to do their very best with taking care of their cars, and a lot of people do, especially once they get it protected and looking its best. But then a lot of people neglect their cars and they want the best out of it, but they don't take care of it enough. So then you got to bring it to somebody like us, and we got to do a little bit more intensive service.
That just seems counterintuitive, doesn't
Absolutely.
it? So, okay. Well, so what are you doing with regards to It'll Buff Detailing? How are you promoting your business? How are you letting people know you're existing and that you're there?
Yeah, so I do a lot of social media marketing. Instagram and Facebook is huge for me. That's where we do a lot of content and reels and educational content and things like that. We're on Google. We do Google advertising as well as just trying to get out, get in the car shows, things like that, meet with the community.
So are you just posting pictures of people's pretty cars?
So we do a lot of reels with, the process. We do education on coatings and, how these products can help protect your vehicle and things like that. Before and afters, of course, things like that.
Sure. People must love that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Those are always one of the most popular.
As I mentioned, I sort of grew up in the car business, and one of the things that always stuck out to me is the worst thing you can do is hand somebody a power buffer that doesn't know how to use a power buffer. So do you train your folks on the appropriate ways to use things? Because you can take paint right off a brand new car.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry to say I've seen it.
Oh, and I've seen a lot of it, and I've fixed a lot of it. Yeah, if you don't know what you're doing, you got to be careful. But we definitely try to take the time and slowly educate the guys that are doing work for me. I'm always there watching over them. That's one of the hard parts about growing that I was touching on earlier, was just kind of taking my hands off and letting somebody else do the things that I love to do. Can be very difficult. But
I've heard that can be a challenge.
Yep.
It's having to be everywhere all at once. And,
yep.
and that's always interesting and exciting to keep you from being bored. So what are your hours of operation if somebody wants to come by the location?
Generally they're Tuesday to Saturday. So we keep that weekend day open for people, which helps out a lot with people scheduling. And generally they're 9 to 5 on Tuesday through Saturday. But like I said, we're a small business and we'll always be there if you need us.
Sure. Do you accept bookings, reservations, or is it just first come, first serve?
So we are appointment only. If you go over to the website, you can find all of our contact information there, as well as we have an online portal where you can go through, our services, our packages, our pricing, everything like that. And you can also schedule an appointment yourself from the website.
Okay, so that's great. And we will put up on the Cherokee Business Radio website all of your socials and on your website. But what is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Best is to contact me. All of our phone numbers, emails, everything right there is right on the website, so we can really talk to you and find out what's best for you and your vehicle and go from there.
And what is your website?
Idelbuffdetailing.com.
Okay. So one of the things that I like to always ask is a little bit of a thinking question as we start to wrap things up. And my question to you is, whether it's in the detailing side of things or in the business side of things, what's a mistake that you've made that you learned from?
Ooh, made a lot of mistakes.
That's the only way we learn, so that's a good thing.
I guess I've made a lot of mistakes. I've had mistakes on the detailing side of things. I mean, I've messed up vehicles before. Of course, I think everybody has when they've worked on cars. But going back and making that right with the customer and making sure you take care of your customer 100%, I think that speaks volume. And then, just problems with employees, like I said, just making sure employees do their job properly and staying on top of that and just making sure you provide the best service you can for your customers. I always think we'll never be perfect, but as close as you can get to that, you're doing pretty good.
Well, and as long as you're taking care of the customer and if the customer is identifying an issue and you're making sure that they're satisfied before they roll out, I guess that's...
For sure. Everybody makes mistakes, but it's just how you take care of those mistakes and move forward with them. I've earned lifelong customers by fixing things and making them right for the customer.
As my dad used to say, there's no wrong time to do the right thing.
No, sir.
So that's good to know. Well, thank you, Colin Devaney of Idelbuff Detailing. We appreciate you sharing your story with us, and I hope you'll be able to hang out because I think there's some real interesting things that we can all learn from the folks we'll be talking with. So please stay with me. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Can I ask him a question?
By all means,
For
Matt.
Sure.
Please.
So, hey, this is Matt. Colin, so just a question. I bought my daughter a new car last year.
Okay.
And she was pulling into the garage because, she's the lady and I let her use the garage, keep her safe, all that stuff. And my son can control the garage door from his cell phone. So he decided to start closing the garage door at the same time he was pulling in. And it just scratched the shit out of the top of her car. And so I'm just wondering, would that ceramic coating you're talking about have protected that?
So ceramic coating wouldn't have helped you there. Unfortunately, probably not closing the garage door on the car would have helped. No, so it wouldn't have helped you there. We do offer paint protection film, which is a film that would protect from scratches and rock chips of that nature. But, within reason, if you hit a wall or something like that, it really just depends on how bad the damage is, I guess.
So I might just have to bring it to you to see if you can.
You might need to bring it to me or send me some pictures, and I could give you a little better answer there.
Yeah,
but
the good news is, Matt, we've got a guy here that can fix
the ceramic coating might not have protected it, but we might be able to fix it for you.
We'll have to talk later.
Well, that's a good question. Thank you for asking. All right. Well, our next guest is Gretchen Kornutik, CEO and founder of All Things Short-Term Rental. Welcome to Cherokee Business Radio, Gretchen.
Thanks. How are you?
Doing very well. Thank you so much for being here with us today. So I know All Things Short-Term Rental sounds pretty self-explanatory, but I know that doesn't really even begin to cover it. So tell us a little bit about what you do and how you help the folks that you help.
Yeah, of course. I am a serial entrepreneur. I've had multiple businesses and continue to. I've got my hand in many buckets, but my passion, about the time that Airbnb started to become a company, they weren't a company at the time, I got into short-term rentals, and it was the wild, wild west, and I built that property management company. It's now located in 5 states. I'm here based in Woodstock.
Okay.
And I've grown it into multiple different platforms, but consequently, finding the ideal client through All Things Short-Term Rentals led me to just a passion project of teaching young entrepreneurs the right way to scale, grow, and then exit a business successfully, and setting those steps up. So that's kind of the 50,000-foot view of my world.
Okay, well, let's drill down into that just a little bit, if we may. So, I know. So, Gretchen and I had chatted a little bit beforehand, and one thing she hadn't said, which is just a wonderful piece of information, is that in 2024 she was the Jacksonville Small Business Leader of the Year, and that's really quite an accomplishment. And you had said that you're now in Woodstock. Were you previously located in Florida?
I was, yeah. So, the much larger company that I was a part of, that I built, scaled, and exited in 2021, the home office was in Jacksonville, and
Gotcha.
Actually my current main office, if you will, the people who are working boots on the ground, is based out of Jacksonville, Florida, even though I'm in Woodstock.
Okay.
I do not need to be where it is because I've set up systems and processes that work.
So you've got your feet in multiple states, as
I
you
do.
said, and just you're on the state line. Well, so let's talk a little bit about the coaching. It's not really like traditional coaching, though, is it? What you offer to the folks that you try to help.
It's not. Listen, so when I got into business, right, over 25 years ago, so I am old. When I was 4. That's awesome.
Lemonade stand.
Yeah, I'm much older than you think I am. And anyway, I always looked for a mentor. You always have a mentor and you always are a mentor. That is the most successful way to go through this. You should always be changing. You should always be growing. You should always be pivoting. And so I did that without somebody telling me, right? At that point, there weren't really coaches. And I have done a ton of networking in 30 years. And one of the things that I've noticed recently is that business coaches are everywhere, right? There's business coaches in networking, et cetera, all different strategies. But most of them, I say that loosely, right? These are broad stroke statements. Most of them have not actually built, scaled, and exited an $85 million company. They haven't lived through those actual steps. And so they're going off maybe a booklet that tells them what they could do,
Sure.
or a checklist, rather than, hey, guys, there's some KPI strategies here that you should be aware of. And so that's what happens with actual experience. And so it happened kind of by accident. My ideal client has been realtors and brokers. And so I became certified through the states. I'm the only short-term rental certified expert in the state of Georgia.
Well, and didn't you tell me you also help teach and certify?
Yes, 100%. And so because of that, right, that was my ticket to my referral source. And I fell in love with it. It was a passion project of sitting down and saying, hey, guys, listen, you are looking at this completely wrong. And just giving them the knowledge and the vision. If you are a business owner successfully, you understand that the vision is based on that business owner, not your vision as the coach. And so it was just something that I fell in love with doing. And so it kind of happened by accident.
Well, it seems like I've shared this before. My favorite quote is, I may not have gotten where I was going, but I ended up where I needed to be, from the great
100%.
Douglas Adams.
Yeah.
So what are the ways that you work with some of the folks that you coach that help them understand that it's not just a by the book, follow the dots to get to the end prize?
Yeah, it's dialing in on their specific thing, right? The most affordable way to do it is through my mastermind group. So I have an online mastermind group.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I also have an in-person mastermind group that both of which meet twice a month. And we dial in. They are private closed groups where people can come in. And it is honest. I've had people crying on my couch before, because you're not going to get to the crux of the matter if you can't get transparent and honest and real. And so those are two of the ways. And then just one-to-one consulting, mentoring, working with people, online classes.
Well, so for the mastermind, is that you had said that it's both one-on-one, but also a group environment? Is there
it's two different options.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. There's two different options.
So there's a peer aspect or one-to-one where you're offering direct coaching. 100%.
The person who's wearing that hat and thinks that they have to wear all the hats, or thinks that they have to do all the things, right? That's what an introductory entrepreneur does. But for them to be successful, they move from that to the island of misfit toys. And then they move from the island of...
So hang on, let me stop you. Explain Well, I know what you mean by the island of misfit toys.
Yeah.
And I recently had a young entrepreneur on who said he's trying to do everything in every chair.
Yeah.
So maybe we can accomplish two things. When you say moving to the island of misfit toys.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so they think that they have to marry or get in bed and marry their cousin who is the social media marketer, or they have to use this person because it's cheap advertisement, or I'm going to use this salesperson because I only have to pay them a little bit or a commission and I don't have to pay them. I don't have to get into payroll, right? You start to build this island of misfit toys of people who may specialize or may not specialize because you think they're helping you.
Are you saying that the path of least resistance is often not the right path?
That is 100% true.
So the easiest solution may not be the right one?
100%. Woo!
Really?
That is a hard lesson.
And typically an expensive one.
Yeah, very expensive one. And a more expensive one is the entrepreneur who literally thinks that what they do can't be replaced without them. If you are a true business owner, then you should not be working in your business. You should be directing and putting those people in place so that you can scale and then have passive income in multiple other areas. And that is a misstep from people who go from that single entrepreneur to the island of misfit toys, and then the big wall, right, and the glass ceiling of moving into professional kind of standing, having an actual HR, having actual CEO, CFO, things of that nature, and having an exit plan, right? So people don't go into business with an exit plan.
Sure.
It's one of the worst things you could do.
So it sounds to me like, based on your own experience, these are sort of steps you've already experienced in many cases more than once.
Yeah,
is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So as you share their journey with them, they're able to seek the guidance from you in I guess we'd say proven strategies.
Yes, 100%. Right. And they're not mine. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We need to have somebody who handholds us through the steps in the correct order. And recognize the pivoting steps and markers as to when you should shift and change.
And is that the same for everybody?
You know what? Listen, it is.
Okay.
It is, but the timing isn't the same. What that looks like isn't the same, but the steps are the same. Yeah.
So, okay. So what you're saying is that if you follow sort of a proven process when it's appropriate for you, you can still reach the right destination.
Yeah, those are broad strokes, right? Is that when people have these businesses and they grow from one step to the next, there are certain vital missing pieces that are just not there. And it's not, hey, do I do my accounting practices this way, or do I handle my CFO this way? Do I have X amount of employees? It's not that. It's how am I tracking it? What are my attainables on my numbers? And am I reaching those goals? Are things happening in the successful line? And why aren't they, right? There are steps that entrepreneurs just simply aren't doing. They're kind of throwing everything they can at a wall and hoping it'll stick, and not understanding what did stick and why.
Okay. So if I understand, sort of the organic growth path of the average entrepreneur may have some blind spots in it, and that's where you're shining the light.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, for their vision.
Well, and that I think leads to the logical question is, if somebody's considering a coach or a mentor, how do they go about finding the right person?
Yeah, I mean, that's a pivotal thing. I think you sit down and talk to somebody. If you look at the most successful people in the world, you look at the Jeff Bezos and the high functioning people, they don't sit down with one person and hire them. That never happens. People who are developing software technologies sit down and talk to technology experts at a number of 120 to 200 people and ask each of those people who their best person is to get to that answer. We are lazy as entrepreneurs to not get to the right seat. And Josh, because of what you do, right? EOS, which I've implemented in my previous company and was forever grateful, is understanding putting the correct people in the correct seat and in the correct location. And we don't want to go through that because we're afraid we'll upset the apple cart, or ego gets in the way, or we're just lazy. And we don't realize if we make those steps and we do it correctly and efficiently that we are opening ourselves up to unlimited possibilities.
Sure. And one of the things that I often encounter, and I know you've shared this with me as well, is that quest to be the perfect solution gets in the way of any solution, right? Progress is impeded
100%.
by the quest for perfection.
Yeah. I mean, not every coach is the right person for everybody. Not every realtor is the right realtor for everyone. Not every car person is going to be the right car person. I mean, we have got to get out of the thought process of just working with a friend and figuring out what we actually need and finding that person within our circuits. And as soon as we do that, then we're in alignment. And yeah, it's amazing.
Kind of a game changer.
It is a game changer.
Well, so as I had asked Colin, I'll ask you. I always like to ask you at least one question that makes you think a little bit. So in the case here, first, before I close, I'll make sure that we know how to get in touch with you and anyone that's interested in exploring either the mastermind or the short-term rental advice and management knows which is which and how to engage you, right? But if you were going to offer a piece of advice to an entrepreneur, not necessarily a young entrepreneur, because you can be 60 years old and be a brand new entrepreneur, or you can be 21 years old and at it for 5 years, right? Mm-hmm. So if you were to speak to someone who was a newer entrepreneur, regardless of their age, more in their experience side, what's a solid piece of advice you could offer them that would make a difference for them as they begin to grow? Because obviously not everybody can afford or understand the need for a coach or a mentor right out of the gate.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I think they need to have conversations with people who are smarter than them. I did that. It doesn't cost you money to sit down and have one-to-ones with people who are in different areas of industry and ask them questions, but have a plan. Write it down. It doesn't need to be a full business plan. People get so nervous. Oh, I don't know how to write a business plan. I don't know how to have the financials, or I don't math well. Well, great. Thank you for letting us know what you're not great at. By the way, not everybody's great at everything, and they're not supposed to be. So recognize what your passion is as an entrepreneur. Recognize what you're good at, and then talk to people who are smarter than you.
That's fantastic. When I was a young entrepreneur, there was no one smarter than me.
I'll bet that's true.
As I got older, I realized there were almost all of them.
Everyone.
But that's the curve, right?
Mm-hmm.
That, as they say. Well, thank you, Gretchen. So let me ask the differentiation. It's the Salt Air Kisses Consulting is. Am I getting that correct?
So yeah, right. There's multiple companies that are under me. I touch a lot of things.
Okay.
I have a couple of real estate brokerages, as well as the short-term rental property management, not to be confused with long-term property management.
Okay.
I have some great referrals for that, but that's not what I do.
Okay.
I also on the side have a distributor for tiny homes that are modular, and a window company and a flooring company, et cetera.
So it sounds like you know you're the right person to call to find out whatever we need to find out.
Yeah, but I mean, right, I don't touch those things because it's set up correctly. But to find me and to get to the crux of all of it is just allthingshorttermrentals.com.
Perfect.
There is a contact card there. There's a scheduler. There's a list of classes. There's things that I attend, events, conferences that I'm at, things of that nature. So that's just a great central location, and it feeds to my other sources.
I see. So it's a single point.
It is a single point.
Thank you. I'm sorry I wasn't clear on that.
Allthingshorttermrentals.com.
Allthingshorttermrentals.com. And obviously, as I mentioned to Colin earlier, we'll have that on our website so that people can find you through Cherokee Business Radio.
Amazing.
I can't thank you enough for sharing your wisdom and your experience with us. Do you have any events or anything coming up in the immediate future that you want to share?
Yeah. I mean, so I'm doing my Georgia real estate CE class this Friday online. And on May 1st, we're going to launch a new group, cohort mastermind group.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So that'll be on the website for logging into. And, I'm available. I'm transparent. People can call me and ask me questions. I'm not that untouchable or such.
You don't have 7 layers of blockers.
Yeah, I really just don't. If I am available, I answer the phone.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Gretchen Kornutik of All Things Short-Term Rental.
Thanks.
And if you'd be kind enough to hang out, we're going to talk next with Matt Koop. So Matt, thank you so much for making the drive down here, because Matt wins the award for the furthest trip, but we sure appreciate it. Matt is the vice president and founder of both the New Flat Rate and Freedom Builders University. Matt, you and I have known each other for a little while, but let me ask you, what is the New Flat Rate?
Well, I can tell you, Josh, and first of all, thanks for having me, and I'm happy to make the drive. The New Flat Rate, just to be transparent there, we specialize in home service help with contracting companies, but really small businesses in general. We're a process development company, but outside of that, it's really more about what our mission and focus is, because the New Flat Rate, we keep families together.
That's a pretty bold statement. What do you mean by that?
Well, you see, when it comes to spousal and partner arguments, Josh, what do you think the number one thing is that starts most arguments?
Well, let's see. I've been married almost 23 years.
Other than that?
No, it's money.
It is money, isn't it? It's pretty much always money. And so we do that by helping businesses become more profitable. And our specific niche is increasing revenue and profits in the contracting space. So like heating and air conditioning, electric and plumbing companies.
Okay.
And we do that through process development to help them kind of automate their communication and discussions between their office and the consumer at the end, as well as their service technicians and the customers, and even the management team to the staff that works with them, because that's not always flowing the way that it should.
Okay, so you're making it easier for the company to deal with the customer, or the frontline individual to deal with the customer, or both?
Ultimately, both.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
That's a good question. So first of all, we have an automated system in our app. So we developed an app that kind of bridges the communication gaps for the sales process. Because ultimately, I think anybody that's ever had a plumber or a HVAC tech or anything anybody that's had a plumber or HVAC technician in their home, generally they would agree that they're not always the best communicators. And so it's like, hey, what's wrong with my system? And then they'll give you this roundabout message. And so what our app does is it allows the technician just to tell the app what they found. And then the app automatically kind of transcribes everything into consumer language and gives the customers their options and says, hey, here's all your options for your sink. And it automatically brings in the things that most of the service technicians would have missed as well. Because in the home service trades, we've kind of been trained that things are either broke or they're good.
Okay.
And there's
it's binary. Either it works or it doesn't work. And there's no half working faucet.
Right. But if you really think about it, in the world of mechanics, that's not true. If I have one part that failed in one spot and everything in that area is the same age, it's pretty common to know that the part right next to it is probably on the way out the door too.
So if the sink on the left dies, the sink on the right's probably not far behind it. In a plumbing example.
And the thing is we are in all 50 states, well, all across Canada and Australia now too.
Oh, wow.
And so our system's used over 30,000 times a week. And so the data that we receive just proves that. Like I had somebody that says, well, Matt, you don't know when that other thing's going to fail. I'm like, that's true, but I do know how long it's been there and the condition of it.
Sure.
And so what our app does is it automatically tells the homeowner, hey, here's what's going on. But by the way, with all these other options, if you want us to while we're here, we can just rebuild this whole area. And the cool thing is when customers take the top option, it triples the amount of time between breakdowns for the end customer.
So that's interesting. You're also keeping the families of your customers together by not getting angry about the fact that something that just got fixed didn't break, or the one next to it didn't break.
That's exactly right.
That's an interesting perspective.
And so it saves the end customer money. Ultimately, the average customer saves usually over $500 worth of repairs in one area when they take a better option,
right?
Which is really cool because we can do the work for less because we're already there. but yet it increases the profitability for the home service company by over 300%.
So, I mean, it sounds like a lot of thought's gone into this. Are you a software developer from long back? How did you come up with the concept here that you put in place?
It's funny, I like to go out, and have fun sometimes on the weekends or whatever, like anybody. And anytime I'm out with friends, somebody is inevitably, Josh, having a problem with the phone or something, and they're all like, "Hey, give it to Matt. He's the software guy." And just for the record, I really don't know shit about fixing. About programming or any of that. I build the process, and this is what I want it to do, and then we have lots of programmers that make that dream come to life.
Okay, so how did you learn about the different trades then?
Great question. So the reason why we kind of fell into all of this goes back in about 2001. 2001, my father came to me and was talking about some issues he was having in his home contracting business. It was heating, air, electric, and plumbing company.
Oh, so it was part of your family already.
It is.
I see.
We're from the trades, and he was talking to me, and I said, well, if you can tell me what you're trying to do, I maybe can help. And he was telling me, and so ultimately he asked me to go to trade school. And so I actually started as a home repair service technician back in 2001.
Gotcha.
And learned very quickly that there was some major problems in the space. Started having customers get upset when I did things the way the industry taught me to do them. And so I just developed a curiosity to ask the question. And the question, Josh, was why? Why?
How dare you? How dare you, sir?
I pissed off a lot of people with that too. But why does the industries that we serve do things the way that they do?
Did you get an answer?
The funny thing is I'm also a follower of self-made billionaires.
Okay.
Gretchen, you were talking about how everybody has a mentor and is a mentor. And so when I look at these self-made billionaires, most of them will agree that the leading cause of that kind of the number one business killer is that line, "That's the way we've always done it."
Mm. Such a true statement.
And that's what I kept hearing.
Hey, the way we've always done it isn't good enough.
Well, I mean, Grandpa, and I love Grandpa, but, Grandpa that started the company, or great-grandpa back in 1928, I'm not saying that he was doing anything wrong. But what we learned is that most business processes were actually supposed to be one-offs. Like a customer was upset about something and somebody called the boss and said, "Oh my gosh, we have a problem. Josh, how do we fix it?" And you said, "Oh, just do this. Just make them happy this one time." But that one thing out of your mouth as the business owner just became God in your company.
And that's it. From that day forward, it's the marching orders.
From that day forward, it's the marching orders.
You had shared with me previously a story about the twice-a-year visits to people's homes.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
And so that's a great example to sort of, if you don't mind sharing, to eliminate, why does my HVAC guy want to come twice a year?
It's so funny that you say that, and you're going to, I hope people don't hang up because of this, especially as HVAC guys. But so the home service space, they always talk about annual maintenance and getting your heating and cooling system inspected twice a year. But the funny thing is that methodology actually came from the 60s and 70s.
How so?
Because back then, furnaces had what's called a standing pilot. They had a fire that had to burn all the time. But it cost you about $11 to $12 a month worth of gas to burn it. And so what you would do is you would blow it out in the summertime, so you didn't have to pay that money when you didn't need your heat.
Sure.
But then the air conditioning units outside, it was customary back then also to cover those up in the wintertime. And so what was happening is these home service contractors, come summertime, they were getting hundreds and hundreds of phone calls every day from all these customers that heating and cooling systems didn't work, or the cooling systems didn't work. And they would go out there, and it was because there was a darn tarp over it, and so it couldn't breathe, it couldn't run. And so it was keeping them from being able to actually get to customers that really needed them because they were going out just uncovering units all the time. And so what they ended up doing is a gentleman named Ron Smith developed a process of a maintenance agreement where he would tell the customers, hey, sign up for this program. Let us come out when it's convenient for us in the spring and the fall. We'll uncover your air conditioner to get it ready for summer. We'll blow out your pilot to save you money. In the fall, we'll do the same. We'll cover your air conditioner. We'll light your pilot. And that allowed them to get to the other customers in the summer. But over the years, that methodology was lost because today, they don't make furnaces that have standing pilots anymore. And with powder coating technology and things, you don't have to cover your air conditioners.
But that's the way we've always done it.
But it's just how we've always done it.
So that's a perfect segue and a great story. Thank you for sharing. So is it that type of insight that led to Freedom Builders University?
It actually is. I like how you tied that together. Thank you for that. So in 2018, we had a whole bunch of our members that were using the new flat rate that started coming to me, and they were saying, Matt, we love how you solved this problem for our profitability with the options and everything that you guys do with the new flat rate. What about these other areas of business? And so they said they just wanted our thoughts on it. And so we founded a program called Freedom Builders University for small business entrepreneurs to help tie these other sides of the business together and bring some better ideas and some good resources and kind of let's just call it a central point of truth. I find truth all over the place, but
sure,
a lot of these guys, Gretchen, like what you were talking about, they just don't know.
Yeah, they're missing a step.
Oh, a lot of steps. Mm-hmm. But, it really comes down to the fact that they're usually just good at fixing things. And so they started a business, but they don't know about payroll. They don't know about taxes. They don't know about any of this stuff. So we founded Freedom Builders University with the premise of helping them get their life together and experience the freedom that they wanted from business in the first place. And really it comes down to, Josh, that there's this thing that as business owners, many of us fall into, which is called the what is it? The life. It's the work-life exchange. It's like
work-life balance.
Kind of. We exchange our. We go to work hoping for it's like an exchange of life for work. But at the end of the day, Freedom Builders is about helping them experience the life worth living exchange.
Okay.
In other words, I want them to go to work and when they leave, to actually feel good. Not stressed, because, Gretchen, with everybody you're talking about, I know you run into it. They go home at night and they can't turn off their brain.
Well, not only that, they just, they've given themselves a job rather than a business.
And some of them, I think, and I was going to ask you about that, I think some of them, they wanted a job.
Right.
Because that's what they're good at.
That's their vision.
Yeah.
So you have to tie into that. I love what you're doing.
So how do you help them?
So we focus, we were looking at the world of freedom and we said, well, what does it mean to feel successful, to feel free with your business? And we were looking for kind of a formula and it was difficult to find. And so we built one. And so the formula that we follow is money plus time plus impact equals freedom. And so money is the fact that as a business entrepreneur and a business owner, if you don't have profitability and cash flow, you're making decisions from a position of desperation. And most of those decisions will be wrong because they're just like, just hire that person because they're breathing. They can wipe down cars for us.
We talked about this, the path of least resistance.
It is. But so we help them get profitable. And so right away, we help them get profitable. And on that note, our average Freedom Builder member today is running over 17% net profit.
Wow.
Which is in the spaces that we serve is triple the average.
And in that regard, does that impact customer satisfaction?
Ironically, people think like, well, Matt, how can you charge so much money? We find that the more money that we are able to acquire from the end user, even though it sounds weird, the happier they are. Because we're able to do more for them.
Well, sure, because they feel like they're getting value for the exchange, right?
Right.
That most people don't complain if the service that they've engaged works the way that they expected it to work, and that the individuals performing the work have done so in an effective and efficient manner without walking in, flipping a switch, saying that's $1,000 and walking out the door.
Well, exactly. And for all the business owners, especially that are listening, if you go and you look at your reviews and your complaints, any of your lower star reviews on Google, or any of your complaints you've had over the years, you can tie usually well over 90% of them to the people that paid the least.
Really?
It's just always.
Oh gosh,
works
that's uniform for all business.
Yeah, 100%.
That's where tracking methods. I love this. I mean, you and I could probably have hours conversation on this.
Well, we need to.
My dad, who's the original source of wisdom for me, always said that if you make one customer happy, they might tell another. If you make one customer unhappy, they're going to tell everybody.
Yes. True statement.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the first thing we do is we help them become more profitable, get their pricing in line. In our space, we're kind of considered the pricing experts, which is one of our core values as our company as well. So we help them do that. And side note, even away from me, I like to give plugs with great products and books. If you like reading a book, there's a great book out there by a lady called Casey Brown, which is Fearless Pricing. And I love that book because in it, she talks about how to be more profitable. And she says that if you're already a 10% profit company, if you raise your prices only 1%, that is a 10% increase in profitability.
Wow. Simple, but really effective.
Simple. And then also, people might charge $100 for something, but they're like, well, change it to $99. Well, that $1 drop was a 10% decrease in profitability.
Sure.
And so it would be better to go to $100.99 than it would be to drop back to $99.
Do you find that even with the clients you're working with that are established businesses, that they're challenged to ask for money?
Oh, my goodness. I don't know what all I should say on the radio.
Yes, you do.
I heard somebody say something though. It's terrible, but it's down south, and it was talking about, hey, he said down south here, Josh, there's two things that we don't talk about from the time we're really, really young. It's sex and money.
Okay.
And he's like, we have a lot of all of it. We just don't talk about it. It was funny, but when you think about it,
it's a great statement.
Oh, it's so important though, because we were ingrained by the time we were little kids to not talk about money. We would be like, oh my gosh, look at that car, Mom. How much does that person make? And she would be like, shh, that's rude. Don't talk about that. And so we were brought up with this fear of asking for money because it was wrong. But I have a different belief that I've learned and cultivated, which we teach our members in Freedom Builders and the New Flat Rate, which is we believe that 100% of our customers called us with the intention to buy. And once you understand that they wouldn't have taken time out of their day, Colin, to bring you their car if they didn't want it to be awesome. And so if you knew that somebody booked an appointment with you and that they 100% were going to buy from you and pay you money, would it take the pressure off of asking for the money?
Absolutely. I think so.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it?
For sure.
So just believe it because that's true.
Yeah.
Because they didn't take time out of their work schedule, get a ride to your place to drop off their car if they wanted to say no.
Right.
And so we've just kind of paired that into other things that we train on that says just take the yes before you even get there and go in and show them the options and they'll buy, and they always do.
Cool.
Well, and it sounds like you've also mastered the other piece of the equation, which is time, right? If somebody can afford what it is they're shopping for, and they are your client, time will matter. Somebody who has the money in their pocket, they don't care if it's $300 or $100. If it's going to save them time, they don't have to think about it. They can check the box and they know it's going to be done right. I mean, I love that. You go after the ideal client, and not everybody is that checkbox. Yeah.
We don't always think we do, Gretchen, but we all believe. We believe what you just said to an extent that it understands I can't make more time.
Right.
We have 86,400 seconds a day. Nobody has any more than that. But I can make more money. So, I only have so many seconds in my life. So if I can trade a little bit of the money, which I can't take with me, to get more seconds with my children, with my family, with other things that are important to me, the answer is always yes, if I can make the connections work.
100%.
And so I like that other statement. There's no such thing as a lack of resources, just resourcefulness.
I like that.
And it goes a long ways.
Yeah.
So to kind of wrap that up, Josh, I know you're probably saying, man, this guy talks a lot.
No. It's all good information. So money plus time plus impact equals freedom.
So the time part of it in Freedom Builders starts with the work-life balance. Is we have to help them if they're going to experience freedom. We have to help them develop a work-life balance. Now, sometimes, according to what piece of their entrepreneurial journey they're on, they might have to work more today to save time in the future.
Sure.
So eventually you got to get shit done whether you're busy or not.
Right.
And so when it comes to the work-life balance, we help them do that through scalable processes. And so the big issue here is most of the companies we work with, they're owner-operators. And so the owners are still working daily in the company, and they don't know. They're always looking for that unicorn employee being like, hey, I just got to have somebody that can do everything that I can do.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh, there's lots of those. They just own their own company already. And so stop looking for the unicorn and instead appreciate the people you have and build a unicorn out of multiple people. And so you do that with processes that say, hey, here's this one thing that consumes a certain piece of my time, just one thing, like payroll we were talking about. And so let's train and write a simple process, 1 page. Here's 10 steps, how we do payroll here in our company so that you can slide it over to somebody. And we teach how to make it so incredibly simple that it would save you time to do it and you wouldn't even mind keeping it. But at that point, give it away.
That makes perfect sense. Delegate and elevate.
That's it. And so we get their work-life balance going, help them start setting alarms to just leave work. Because there comes a point when your productivity just absolutely goes to zero. And then we focus on impact. And impact is their legacy in life. It's not always global. Sometimes it has to do with just their people that are in their life and their business, the other employees. I've got one owner I work with who is just an incredible person. He doesn't have anything to leave his legacy to anyone. And he's built I don't think 85 million, but he exited some $50+ million companies. And so he's currently building this plumbing company out in California with the entire intention of just turning it over to the employees.
That's awesome.
He says, he's like, I don't want anything. I says, these are my people. I just want to help all of them. He says, I don't have anybody else. And so he's building this big company and his mission is just incredible, but that's an impact. But what we have to understand about impact is always something that will cost you time and or money. And so if you're struggling financially, really hard to donate to that charity you like. If you're struggling with not being able to leave the office, it's really hard to go, volunteer somewhere. Right. And so at Freedom Builders, we just help them get their life together.
That sounds like a noble cause and one that really does help keep the families together. Well, so let me ask you this as sort of a closing question on that front, right? What's a piece of advice that you would give to someone regardless of business, kind of like something that they should remember? I think that the impact costs you either money or time is a great point, but what's one single piece we could leave people with that you think will be universally valuable?
Can I give two?
Of course.
So the first one goes with what Gretchen was talking about. Step out and join some masterminds. We put on a big retreat style mastermind once a year. You're welcome to come to that. But then we also do a different version. We call them quarterly workshops, where we go and visit our other member locations, and we bring contractors with us. And so find a way to do that. So if you're in our space and you want to join with one of us, then come on. But find a way to go visit other contractors, other business owners in your arena, because you can learn so much from just seeing how they do things. And I always tell people some of the best things I've learned from doing that, Josh, is the things that I feel like they're doing wrong. Is when I go and look at it and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that, but that saves me millions of dollars by not making that mistake. And so you can get good ideas and things that you don't want from visiting those. And then the second thing that I would always say is really probably the most important in any business is when you're going to deliver or ask the customer to buy your products and services, always start with your best first. And so forget about even what they quote unquote need, and think of, hey, what is the absolute best that I could do for this situation, this job, this customer, what they have. And I train it this way. I say, if you were going to work on something, an air conditioner, a plumbing thing, an electrical, a car, a house, and you were going to do a certain amount of work on it, but I told you, okay, so here's the thing, Colin, I want you to go ahead and do great work on this, but I'm going to mount a plaque on it when you're done, and it's going to say, Colin did this work.
Right.
All right. But now, not only that, then I'm going to take everybody else in your industry and workspace, and when you're done, I'm going to march them past it in single file with a clipboard and let them pick what you did apart. If you knew that was going to happen, what level of work would you want to do?
Well, you'd want to sell them your absolute best.
You would want to be your best.
Do your best.
And you would want everybody that looked at it to say, that is the best work I've ever seen. It looks incredible. And so then think about how much you would have to charge to deliver that level of service. And my dad always says, and then add $800. So
at least 20%.
At least 20%. You can add more. And the thing is because this is my best, and I learned over the years that my best kept costing more and more money because I didn't want to have to watch the clock. I learned that was
do it the right way.
That was one of the worst things is if I felt like I was in a hurry and trying to do my best at the same time. And so I ended up getting to the point as a trade technician to where my best was my day. And so I'll just sell my whole day. And so, hey, my best option, boom, you get me for the day. I'm your tech for the day. Awesome. So that's what I would say, because if you offer them your best first, they can always take less, and the less will always give them a financial relief if they need it.
Sure. That's great advice. Matt, thank you for sharing all of that with us. I think that's universally useful. Do you have any events coming up? Anything people should know about?
Man, I have so many events. First of all, we always do different things. In Freedom Builders, we have a twice a month group coaching call. It's a Zoom call you can jump on. It's the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. Thursdays, sorry. Second and fourth Thursdays of the month, where you can just kind of interact with other contractors and business owners and get a lot of good ideas. Plus, we have different topics and stuff we go through. Okay. So that's a great group going on. But some big events, which you're actually going to be at one, Josh, I'm excited about is at the end of April. It's April 28th through May 2nd. And it's our annual retreat mastermind this year located in Nashville, Tennessee. And the cool thing about that mastermind event is it gets you away from everything. It gets you away from your business, in with other entrepreneurial peers. And we're doing something really cool. It sounds weird as a business people, but we are going to a archery range where we are going to shoot each other.
Wow.
Yeah, sounds fun, right?
I'm going to be sick that night.
Yeah, I thought you would. No, we actually are. So they actually have special darts that aren't going to hurt you.
Oh, okay.
But we're going to play archery tag with all of the owners that come and all the managers that come. And the reason we do that is to let everybody's guards down so that everybody realizes that we're all real people. And so that they stop putting on their suits and ties and pretending that they're successful.
Sure.
Because even though they have successes in their life, they wouldn't be there if they didn't have things.
And who doesn't want to shoot their favorite customers?
Who doesn't want to shoot them? So we're gonna go shoot each other, and then we're going to mastermind and work with our leaders like yourself. We've got life coaches, business coaches, financial consultants, and mentors and trainers that'll be there to work with them one-on-one and in group settings to really help them get to that next level. And so that's coming up end of April.
And so how will people, if they want to learn more about that, where would they go? And we'll have all of this on the website, but I want to give you the chance to.
Everything I do with both these companies is all tied under the umbrella company, which is the New Flat Rate. So if you just go to thenewflatrate.com, you can see more information about that. But if you click on resources there, you'll see a tab that says attend a mastermind. And so you can click on that, and whether you want to attend the mastermind or even some of the group calls, just fill out that information and we'll reach out and we'll get you in whatever you want.
Awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough for sharing. And again, this is Cherokee Business Radio. I want to thank my guests, Colin Devaney of It'll Buff Detailing, Gretchen Kornutik, CEO and founder of All Things Short-Term Rental, and Matt Koop, Vice President and founder of the New Flat Rate and Freedom Builders University.
It's Koop, Josh.
Koop?
Koop.
That's embarrassing. Matt Koop. This is Joshua Kornitsky, professional EOS implementer and slightly embarrassed guy, saying thank you, and please join us again next week. We'll see you then.